Some of you may be wondering, Mr. Gustafson, I don't really like this slope-intercept form, especially when I'm given the slope in a point. Isn't there another way of doing it? And since we all love redundant questions, I'm going to answer my question. Yes, there is. There's this slope-intercept form, which we just learned about in the last video. And now there's another way of doing it called point-slope form. Now, I will say that Dr. Berger, the guy on the videos who has big bushy eyebrows for Holt, the publisher, when you go on to the online book, him, he and I agree. We prefer the slope-intercept form. However, I've found that about half the class ends up preferring point-slope form. And there's no right way of doing it. It just depends on what you prefer. On the test, you will have at least one question that says, use point-slope form. You will have at least one question on the test that says, use slope-intercept form. You have to do one way or the other at least once. You have to do them both one way at least once. Then you can choose which one you like for all the other ones. So point-slope form. Point-slope form says if we have a point and a slope, we can use this form to get it into our y equals mx plus b. Show you what I mean. We're going to start with the slope-intercept form. This is what we did in the last video. What we did in the last video, we said, well, here's m, here's x, and here's y. So I've got my equation y equals mx plus b, know it, love it. And then we can fill in our points. So we've got 1 equals 2 times 3 plus b. So we combine our like terms, we solve for b, and we got that b was -5. But we have to write it in slope-intercept form. So we write y equals the slope x plus the y-intercept. Y equals 2x minus 5. And that's how we use the slope-intercept form. You can pause and rewind and watch that slower if you need to. But that's how we use the slope-intercept form to get our equation, y equals 2x minus 5. What point-slope form says is that we can use this. It's a little bit longer, but you'll see how it works here in a second. So if I fill in the blanks again, we're given a slope, m, we're given a point, x1, y1. So this is now x1, y1. That's our point, x1, y1. So if we use the point-slope form, we're going to follow that formula. So we do y minus y1, so y minus 1, equals the slope, m, times x minus x1. And that's how we fill in that formula. And that's what that formula says right here. Y minus y1 equals m, parentheses, or times x minus x1. Now we're going to solve for y. We still need to get it down to this form right here, but we can work at it from a different direction. So if we have this equation, we're going to distribute through the parentheses. We get 2x minus 6 equals y minus 1. Now I get to get y by itself, so I add 1 to both sides. I get y equals 2x minus 5. Hey, same exact answer, just a different way of getting there. Yeah, neither one is better or worse. I prefer slope-intercept just because. Others prefer the point-slope form. You decide. But let's keep practicing this point-slope form. I'm going to do another one with point-slope form. So this point-slope form, we have a slope, m. We have a point, x1, y1. Let's set it up. So we go y minus y1. So y minus a -3 equals m times x minus x1. Okay. I wonder, you don't have this in your notes, I don't think, but we'll just look at it. So it'd be y plus a +3. And then if I distribute here, I get 0 minus 0. Okay, so y plus 3 equals 0. 0 times anything is 0. If I then solve for y, I get y equals -3. That seems odd, but it is correct. And you could write it as y equals 0x minus 3. And if you graphed that, you'd have a slope of 0. Remember, a 0 slope goes straight across like that. And if the y-intercept is negative 3, then I wrote this on the wrong side. There we go. The y-intercept is negative 3. That means that y equals negative 3 all the time. If x is 1, y equals negative 3. If x is 2, y equals negative 3. If x is 5, y doesn't matter. Y always equals negative 3. And that's what a zero slope would be. Okay, we've got two more here. We are, how am I doing on time? I'll be all right. So we've got our slope, we've got our y-intercept. I'm going to speed up a little bit so you can always pause it and slow me down. We're going to fill in the formula. Y minus y1 equals the slope x minus x1. Now remember that when you were doing x minus a negative 2, that's like adding, plus positive. Okay, so we distribute. Distribute through the parentheses. There we go. We have y minus 4 equals 3/4 x. 3/4 times 2 would be like 3/4 and another 3/4. That's 6/4. And 6/4 is the same as 3 halves. And so 3/4 times 2, check it. It should work out to be 3 halves, or 1 1/2 if you prefer. I'm going to leave it as 3 halves for now. Actually, I take that back. Let's change that to 1 1/2. That might be better. 1 1/2. We'll simplify. Now I solve for x, or solve for y. I get y by itself. I add 4 to both sides. And so I get y equals 3/4 x plus, well, 4 plus 1 1/2, 5 1/2. Got my answer. If you had written this, if you had kept this as 3 halves, you could have changed it to 6 halves, I suppose, if you really wanted. But we'll leave this, or 11 halves. But we'll leave it at 5 1/2. That seems easier. Bottom one, again, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Distribute through the parentheses. I get negative x plus 2. I can solve for y then, or get y by itself anyways. I get that y equals negative x plus 0. And since 0 is nothing, I've got y equals negative x. All right, you've got these three. Pause it. Try these three on your own. I'm assuming you paused it. I'm assuming you tried it on your own. I'm just going to write the answers. And you need to be able to click on that linked video and go look at how to do it. So it's y equals 1/6 x plus 1/6. Should be y equals negative 4x plus 3. And it should be y equals x minus 3. Now, for that x minus 3, if you had 1x plus negative 3, that is also fine. So I'll even write that. Y equals 1x plus negative 3. Same idea, same thing. Okay, click the link video if you didn't get those answers. Last two. We are going to write this in slope-intercept form. We don't have the slope, nor do we have the y-intercept. We have nothing. We have 2 points, and that's it. So if we're going to write this in slope-intercept form, we need the slope. So let's find the slope. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So we get 4/2, which gives us 2 as a slope. So now we know m. M is 2. Now we've got 2 points to pick. Doesn't matter which one. I don't like negatives. I don't like them. They're yucky. And so I'm going to use 4, 1 as my point. I have a point. I have a slope. I can use my point-slope form. Y minus 1 equals 2 times x minus x1. I distribute through the parentheses. I end up with 2x minus 8. I get y all by itself by adding 1 to both sides. I end up with y equals 2x minus 7. So if we don't have the slope and we don't have just 1 point, we have 2 points, we can find the slope, and then you choose whichever point you want to use that one, and fill in that formula. Try these last two on your own. Again, find the slope, find the intercept, and write it in y equals mx plus b form. Write it in slope-intercept form. I'm assuming you paused it. I'm assuming you tried it on your own. The answers for these end up being y equals negative 4x plus 1, and y equals 6x minus 4. Again, if you did not get the right answers for those, make sure that you watch the linked videos and see how it's done.